Broadcasting to the world, this is On Call with Chad McCall. In our show, we bring you inspiration, strategies, and insights on how to start, grow, and scale your business.
It's drastically changed my life.
The show is so informative. I just love it. It's honest. It's helped me grow as a person.
Real talk about life, lifestyle, society, and living limitless. Learning from the top influencers across the world, along with industry experts, authorities for you to live your greatest life. It's time to level up.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Here's your host, best-selling author and mentor, Chad McCall.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of On Call with Chad McCall. And as with every episode, I'm here to bring value to your life and your business. I choose colleagues, friends, influencers, and professionals from all industries to give insight on life as an entrepreneur, as you're getting started, you're growing, scaling. Like right now, pivoting has been a huge topic for so many going through challenges here in 2020. Today, I'm calling a woman powerhouse of influence, Britnie Turner. She started her business in 2009 when she was just 21 years old and has rose so quickly to stardom, making the Forbes list for the 6th ranked woman-owned company in the world, Fortune's #3 fastest growing urban company, along with all these awards internationally and nationally. Britnie is not done yet. She's just getting started. What really fuels her are her missions and how she is just helping others and making an impact in the world. She's living her life with purpose and service and choosing things that align with her vision of how she wants to make this world a better place for everybody. So I hope you're excited to listen to this episode. And I've been waiting to do this for a long time with my longtime friend, Britnie. So hang tight while I call CEO, boss woman, and serial entrepreneur, Britnie Turner.
Hello.
Britnie,
Hey, Chad.
how are you, young lady?
I am doing good out here, just crushing it right now, back to back, but it's going well. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for making time. I know you're so busy traveling and everything, especially in this crazy times that we're having here in 2020. But I got you on the podcast. And I just want to say thank you for spending this little bit of time with me and the listeners.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be on. Thanks for having me.
So where are you right now?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee. I am working from a rooftop and living the dream.
The rooftop living. So some people, they not know you as well as I do, Britnie. But for my listeners, I want to kind of give them a little backstory of where this 21-year-old business owner, when you started to now in the last 10 years, just exploded. Give us a little backstory of where Miss Britnie Turner came from.
Well, this is all Chad's fault. I just want to start by saying thank you to this guy that I met at the Cheesecake Factory who has dramatically changed my life. I really want to share that story because it's crazy. I had gone to a ministry school / survival school because my game plan was to live in Africa as a full-time missionary and just serve people in need. And I had dedicated my whole life to that. And I was in a class one time and they said, did you know you can buy a house with no money down? And if you have a mortgage payment that's $900, but you rent it out for $1,200, that's a thing called cash flow. And I was like, go on. They said, if you have that $300, but you do it 5 times, you can live off of that and you don't have to ask anybody for donations. So at 18, I bought my first house. But 18 was also the year 2007. And so I was not the best time, I guess, on paper to get into the real estate world. In the process of buying that house, I learned about this thing called flipping houses, which I don't watch TV. I just grew up on a farm. We just didn't have TV. I never watch it. I still don't watch the news. But I'd never heard of flipping houses. In the process of buying this house, I heard about flipping houses and was like, wait a minute, you can buy a crappy house, fix it up, and you can make like $10,000? Wow, that's amazing. Because that's basically $1 billion to a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. And so my genius plan was to save up these chunks of money and then have $100,000 I could put down on an apartment complex. And that apartment complex would make $10,000 a month, which then I could fund my own orphanages and I could tell everybody else to suck it. I don't need your money. I'm living my own dream. I'm out there saving the world by myself. Like that was my actual plan. And so I tried to get into the real estate market by Googling which colleges teach you how to flip houses. And lo and behold, no colleges taught that. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I have to learn another way. Family was not a big fan of that. Many people didn't speak to me for 2 years. They said I'd be nothing but a loser and a failure for the rest of my life. And that's not just family, that's everyone around me stopped talking to me and like boycotted me. It was not very cool to not go to college back then, but I'm practical. I'm like, well, they don't teach what I want to learn. Why would I not just not go? And they're like, well, it's what you do. I was like, why? So I've kind of always thought a little different. I'm just practical. And I go become a loan officer thinking that would teach me how to flip houses. It doesn't work. No loans closed in 2008. I end up having to work at the Cheesecake Factory. And I remember one night, again, I've got this house I bought at 18, and I'm like struggling to make the mortgage payment, but I believed in God to help me make enough money that night that I would be able to pay my mortgage. And I prayed and prayed and prayed. And at the end of a 9-hour shift, I had made $7. And I had all these little real estate books in my apron at the Cheesecake Factory because I'd sneak in the back and I'd like study everything I could get my hands on. At the time, I was studying 12 hours a day and I was working almost the other 12. And I was just trying to, I did all that just to pay my mortgage. And at the end of that, almost end of that shift, I threw my hands up at God. I said, Lord, why am I here? I'm smarter than this. $7 in 9 hours, Chad. And I heard loud and clear, and again, I don't care what you believe, this is my story. I don't have another way to tell it. I heard loud and clear, one of the only times I've ever heard God, and he said, "'Cause I want to bless you." And I was like, "Oh, really? Really?" And I shook the change in my pocket, and I went up to the host and I said, "Please send me home." So right at that time, these 2 guys and a girl walked in the front door, and I said, "Please give me that table. Please give me that table. I don't care if I make $5. I just need $5." And this guy was sitting far away from me in the booth, and he had on his ring, on his wedding ring finger, which was also weird, this little symbol of a house, and it said the Millionaires Club. And I said, "Are you guys real estate investors?" And they're like, "Well, yes, we are." And I said, "I'm going to be a real estate investor someday." And they're like, "Yeah, right. You probably," I don't know if you remember saying this, Chad, but you said, "You probably read Cosmo Girl magazine." So sexist back then. And I said, "Actually, I'm reading Success magazine." And they're like, "Well, you're probably listening to Hanson on CD in your car." And I said, "Actually, I'm listening to Think and Grow Rich, the audiobook." And so what was really cool, and I would love to hear your side of this, Chad, was I had been studying 12 hours a day. And when someone at the level I wanted to be at met me, they were so impressed by my self-taughtness that they actually invited me to come to a conference in Las Vegas that you guys were putting on Mother's Day weekend. And that was the beginning of my career. Now I want to hear from you, before we go into the rest of it, what your perspective was meeting this 21-year-old broke chick at the Cheesecake Factory as your waitress.
I remember that day. I remember that night. I remember the event. I remember it like it was yesterday. And there's not many times you meet people in life that you really can sense that you did what you were supposed to do. And that's one of those moments. And like I said, I've been following you for the last 10 years. After you started, I knew that the way you approached me in the conversation and your attentiveness, your attitude, um, I knew you were going to do great things because you took action, and I put out the opportunity. Hey, you should come. You need to do that. If you're really serious about it, I know what can get you there. I've done it. I know what you're going through. I was young, just like you when I started, but I filtered a little bit. That's why I made some of those comments, because a lot of people your age and my age when I was starting, I had all the negativity around me. Everything you went through to Britnie, I had no support. No one even knew what
Mhm.
I was even doing, and it wasn't like you have this band of fans out there for you in the beginning when you try something, right? And I'd heard it before. So many people come and
Yeah,
ask me, like, "Chad, you do this, you do
right.
that. Like, I want to learn." Yeah, yeah, okay, sure you do. I know you do. But a lot of people don't do what it takes when it comes to learning, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And I usually let people know that it's not. It's hard work. You can make a lot of money, but making
Mhm.
that $10,000 on that flip doesn't come that easy. You got to do some work. You got to get in there and get your hands dirty. And when you did that, you said, okay. And it's almost like when talking to you, you're like, I
Mhm.
want to sit down with you guys right now. And like during your shift, you're like, I don't care if I'm getting fired. That's the way I felt. And I'm like, she's actually really serious. And I liked that. I'm like, she does not care. And I was like, I was like, if she does this, she's gonna do great. And next thing you know, you went to the event in Vegas. I mean, you did. You were there.
I did. Well, I had called every real estate sign, the little We Buy Houses signs, because I heard that they were real estate investors. And I asked them, I was like, can I work for you for free? Will you teach me? And they're like, get out of the market now. Everything's crashing and burning. And I was like, why are they saying this? That's not what the book says. They say you can be a millionaire like overnight.
Mhm.
And so I go to this event and I'm using the very last available dollars on my credit card to like ask the speakers if they're willing to go to dinner, and then I could pick their brain. And I had learned over 3 years of just everything in my life failing, like everything. If I touched it, it failed. And then I was even in more debt. I was in so much debt back then, living off my credit cards, waiting for loans to close. Remember, as I was a loan officer, not one closed in an entire year. And so I was just feeling crushed by the weight of debt. And I'm sitting there and I overheard this guy at the table, because Chad and Brad and all these guys had taken me to this dinner with the speakers. And I overheard this really loud guy saying, I've got all these deals piling up on my desk. I just need an assistant to teach how to work these deals. And I would just be crushing it. And I was like, I am your ideal assistant. Ideal. Like, I am not an ideal assistant, but I was that day, and I was for the next couple months. I'm like, I will become what I need to learn this. And I think that's what stops a lot of people is they take these little personality tests, they take these whatever, and they're like, this is just who I am. And I'm like, did you stop at crawling and just say, I'm a crawler? That's who I am. Like, when did you stop growing to become what you really want to be? And I was willing to be flexible on what I was comfortable with, to just learn and learn and learn and learn. So I'm not normally an assistant, but I was. He said the only thing is you have to move to Nashville in the next 2 weeks to take this job. And so I dropped my entire life. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time, dropped my entire life, rented my house out to these guys on Craigslist, and had never been to this place called Nashville before. Packed everything I could in my little Mustang convertible 2-door tiny car, and just moved up there. And I was like, all right, I'm going to learn this. Within the first 60 days, well, first of all, everybody said, I'm an idiot. Don't get into real estate right now. Why are you moving up there? You don't know this guy. Like, you're 8 hours away from family. You really don't know another soul. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, look, I want to build orphanages. This is going to be blessed. It's going to be awesome. Just wait. You're all going to be wrong. I wasn't doing it to ever prove people wrong. I think that's something I've done right in my career, is not one piece of my success or push has ever been to prove people wrong. I'm like, you have nothing to do with my calling. So if you don't believe in it, I don't really care. It's not between me and you. I'm doing my calling because it's my calling, and I'm accountable for that, not to prove you. I'm not even going to remember your name most of the time. So bottom line, I moved up there with zero support and really excited, expecting everything to go well. And within 60 days, they did away with the position. They're like, well, we don't need an assistant anymore. And I was like, no. The guys I rented my house out to in Charlotte, North Carolina, didn't even, their first month's rent check bounced. And so now I'm dealing with an eviction. I had taken the job. It was $600 less than the minimums on my credit card. So I've got my mortgage payment now, no income, all this debt, and I'm a really big believer in paying your bills. So I still didn't not pay my bills. I was just like taking every side job I possibly could. So everything went wrong. But the day that I got fired, I was at an event because this guy was a speaker, and there were these two really loud guys. And they said, we're rehabbers, blah, 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 blah. I went up to them and I said, can I work for you for free? And they let me work in this gross basement doing short sale paperwork for them for like 3 months before I got one meeting with a guy named Paulie, who said, I'll let you ride in the car with me. And because he was like this amazing rehabber. And you better believe I was early. It started at 5 a.m. I brought breakfast. I was dressed. I had the right things to take notes, and he wouldn't even talk to me the whole time. He wouldn't even speak to me. He just let me be in the car. And knew if I wanted to be in the room again and like continue to learn, I would have to find a way to create value. So I'd listen and take notes on all his problems when he was on his phone calls. And I was like, man, if I could help solve those problems for him, I bet he would keep me around. And so that's what I did. I started finding more deals for him. I found him private money. I found him better vendors. I found him better contractors. And then I got my real estate license to help find more deals and sell more deals. And I worked for those guys for free and barely paid my bills. Living in my car, by the way. I had to move into my car. And that's the power of dry shampoo and mascara, guys, is I still found a way. Nobody knew I was living in my car, just completely starving and working for free for these guys for 9 months. But at the end of 9 months, they're like, all right, after I made them almost $400,000, I found a deal. I found all the money. I found the crew. I designed the whole thing and I was going to sell it. It made $45,000. And at the end, I said, can I just make $5,000 on this? I'll give you the rest if you just oversee what I'm doing. And they said no. They had to think about it for 3 days. And I finally pressured them into it. But the day that deal actually closed, I have a picture of my bank statement. That was negative $879 in my bank account. And instead of $5,000, they gave me $3,000. And I used 1,700 of it to pay for them and their wives to go on a cruise to say, thank you for being the first people to like, let me be around you this long and learn. I tell you that long story to say, one, this is all Chad's fault. I have gone on to become the biggest rehabber in Nashville, the biggest infill developer in Nashville, the sixth fastest growing woman-owned company and woman-led in the whole world from Forbes, and a bunch of other awards. I'm now doing international work and actually developing third world nations. I have 5 companies, 2 nonprofits. And on top of that, I'm still healthy and I'm really, really happy. I'm happy and I'm centered in my life and in my relationships. I have overcome insane things in my career, so many lawsuits, backstabbings, like closest people to you turning on you. But at the end of the day, I never lost sight of my mission. And my mission was to always elevate people and places and to create opportunity where there is none. And so I've talked a lot, Chad, but that is catching you up on this craziness of you believing in a 21-year-old girl at the Cheesecake Factory.
Well, and I wanted to wait a long time to do this because you kept doing such amazing things. I didn't want to do this episode too early. That's my excuse, I guess. I just wanted to keep doing great things. I was like, well, I'll talk about that. No, she's doing something else great. Let's just wait a little bit longer. Let's let you just keep doing all this greatness. And that it inspires me. And I want you to know that what you said, I really appreciate you remembering that moment, because there's big moments in all of our lives. And for me being a coach and trainer and leader and being an influencer, I look back at these moments when you are part of someone's journey that's changed their lives. But when I love being a part of someone's journey that's helped change yours, but what I did helped change so many other people's lives, like
Mm-hmm.
who you've impacted before, later, and who you continue to impact because of something. It fuels a trainer or a coach. And some people ask me, Chad, why do you still help people and coach and, do some of your mentoring and consulting? I was like, because I can't put words around it except for this right here. Like a moment like this of what you get. It's kind of like you now, you've passed the torch on to other people and you've made that impact in so many people's lives. And I mean, how much fuel and fire does that give you, like it does me, to where you can help more people and you get to watch their success?
It's a game changer. And the thing is, he created an opportunity. He believed in me. He technically shouldn't have. And because I had been prepared, it's like, I don't believe in luck. I think it's hard work meets opportunity. And this is the best story I have for it. But I wouldn't be in Nashville if it hadn't been for you. I wouldn't have won any awards. I don't even think I would have actually made it into real estate. I think I would have had to go, I think I would have gone into the medical field. I wouldn't be in the relationships I've had. My entire world sliding door moment was right then because he took a chance to invest in someone. And again, your investment can be an opportunity. I think that's the best because then people can step up or step out.
With what you've done and what you've seen, Brittany, how about, you were a new entrepreneur at one point. what is some advice you can give to brand new entrepreneurs, regardless of their age? Because 2020 is changing a lot of things for people in the world. A lot of people are no longer going back to work, won't ever go back to work, or they're changing their passions now, or changing their life to go live their passion. And maybe they're on that, tipping point of what to do and how to do it. What's some advice for people getting started right now?
Oh my gosh. I'll give you some of my top ones. Number one is get really clear on why the heck you're doing it. And if you have heard that before, get clear on your why, get clear on your purpose. The fastest way to really do that is to write your eulogy, because it takes away, death does nothing but take away everything that isn't you. And when you write out the vision of the story of your life, then you know what matters and what doesn't. And then you just create a plan around that. So I've like built out, my whole coaching thing has just been stuff I've done for myself. I was forced to write my eulogy in that survival school at 17 years old. And that's the moment I woke up. Some people never wake up. I woke up at 17 because I wrote this beautiful story and I was like, holy crap, I am not doing anything to make that story reality. I'm really not living an intentional life. And so at 17, I started putting those pieces together and I'm still doing it. So it's going to sound weird, but I wrote my eulogy and I created a game plan around it. It's like a 1-page thing. And then I have a vision board. And so those 3 little steps, and I have some YouTube video on this, so you can just watch that exactly how to do it. Like as I'm sitting here at my desk, that is to my left right now. And I read my eulogy every day, not to like be weird and morbid, but to say, hey, is what you're thinking about doing today an opportunity or a distraction? And it also makes you pull yourself out of the moment. Like I named my company Ariel because it takes you out of this present moment, this present struggle, and gives you that big picture view to tell you what this has always really been about. And so for me, this has always been about serving others. And so I can find joy when I take someone a cup of water or when I can create legislation that helps end human trafficking. Like I can find joy in both and peace in both and purpose in both when, because the bottom line is service, however it comes out. Now, of course, I have like some things I like to do, but they're bonuses. They're not my identity. This is getting deep. So that's number one, is keep your mission and vision in front of you. And those pictures, like, again, remind you, all they are reminders of what matters most to you. The other one is only listen to people you want to be like and in that specific area. So I actually have a running constant 4 coaches because those are the areas I want to grow in. But I don't listen to my business coach for relationship advice. Why? Their relationship is crap. And I don't listen to my relationship coach for business advice. And I don't listen to my health coach for business advice or relationship advice. I don't discount the human because their whole life isn't perfect. I really listen to how do I adopt those mental processes so I can grow in that specific area. So you are going to have a lot of voices coming at you, and it's going to sound like love, specifically from your family, telling you not to do blah, 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 blah. But if they're not already somewhere you want to be, you should not adopt what they're telling you to do and act on it. You can listen to them with grace and blah, 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 and just be like, oh, thanks. Da, da, da. Just don't go do it, And don't doubt yourself. Your life and your calling is between you and God and yourself. So that's it. And the last one is opportunity never goes away. It only switches places. So people, oh, COVID. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I've doubled and quadrupled all of my businesses. Why? Because we pivoted. Okay, if you had invested in masks or cleaning products or Amazon, you'd be crushing it. I've never even done stocks before. I invested 60 grand, turned it into 240 in 2 weeks with the right coach, of course. But the point is, things, even if they look like they're tanking because you're watching the news, which I don't recommend, period, there's always opportunity. So where did it go? If it's not in travel, it's in cleaning products. Okay, when it stops being cleaning products, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. So just the human nature is to get comfortable, and that's just ridiculous because everything's changing every day. So just know that change is more normal than not change, and run with it. Just be a creator, not someone who just expects things to be given to them.
And see, those are huge. And I wholeheartedly believe in every one of those steps and what you talked about. The eulogy, that was an interesting one because that's one I've never done, Brittany. Like, I've never thought about that and how to
So
live
good.
my life towards that. So I'm gonna. That's a huge takeaway for me in doing this. Now, when you said opportunity, you know, it never goes away. It just it comes back around to you. But what about choosing the right people around you? Because I think that's important with me, and then with you over the just hearing about that story too, and then going through my story in life, putting yourself in the right people and knowing when to not be around those people anymore, and and not feeling like, hey, I'm just, I don't want to feel like I'm turning my back on some people, but I just know that in that
Mhm.
circle, that's not the right circle that I need to be for growth. And I'm not going anywhere. And you don't mean any disrespect by it, but it's just like, I'm not able to fulfill and go and grow unless I get in the right circle. So, because you mentioned coaches and things, and I think that's where I want to get into the topic of mastermind. Like, talk about the importance of getting out of a bad group, not a bad group, but a group that you're not growing in, and or maybe the negative
Mhm.
influences of things like family or other business coaches. Because some people, like you said, they choose a business coach and they're learning about, relationships, right? There's no such thing as the Walmart of coaches where you go in and one coach can do everything like Walmart can present every single opportunity to
Right.
you, right? It isn't that way. But what advice would you give about getting out of a situation where you're not getting the best information to keep you growing and getting into the right mastermind or right groups?
I think that my greatest struggle of my career, and I've had a lot, so many, was dealing with my own insecurity. And it's not like I'm insecure, I think I'm fat today. It's not like that. It's the insecurity of I didn't go to school for this. I have no formal training. My formal training is waitressing. And I've made hundreds of millions of dollars now, which is awesome, very cool. But I was always insecure that I was doing it wrong. And for me, I have such a different approach. I don't have anything I need or want to buy. I want to really see some changes happen in the world in my lifetime. And I'm so all in on this. And because I had the people and planet desire to help first before profit, even the business coaches that I hired told me I was wrong. And so, wrong, you're wrong. You'll never make money, Brittany. You're always going to struggle, da, 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 all the stuff they said. And I did feel like I was possibly wrong because no one else had my approach. Not, I've never met somebody that has my approach. Not one person in my looking for the right people around me career. And that was so hard because just with that insecurity, you just do different things. And so I had to spend so much time writing and proving and doing different things to make I don't know if the word is conscious business or business as a force for good, like financially self-sustainable as well. And now there's actual, because I'm always 4 years ahead of data, which is so annoying, but it's okay. I'm helping make the data. There's so many data pieces of people who want to work with and demand to work with businesses that do it do more than just make money for themselves. They actually make a difference in the world. And so not having a big example in front of me on how to do that, that was probably the most difficult thing, was overcoming, am I wrong? And so I started G-Force, which is Force for Good Entrepreneurs, as finding all these other people who want to make a difference in the world and use their business as their vehicle to do that, and want to learn how to scale their income and their impact. And so I'm taking all the things that I've learned over the last now 10, 11 years and taking those doubts, those fears, and how we overcame them, the tools, and then finding all the other people that have done the same. And we have a mastermind around it. So we solve issues, we learn things, we're constantly scaling. There isn't someone in the mastermind that hasn't doubled their business. There isn't somebody. And we started the week, it's a new mastermind. We started the week COVID started hitting. And the one thing that I didn't stop investing in was my strategy circle. So I kept my coaches, even though I technically the salary I take from my company is less than what I pay all my coaches, because they create that much value. I can grow my businesses so much. You can't grow your business if you're not growing. I'm not telling anybody to go into debt. I have other money. But the point is, like, if you're going through a hard time, keep the right strategy circle. Everyone says you are the equivalent to the 5 closest people around you. Of course it's true. Who are they? What do they talk about? What are they thinking about? How much money they make? When I spent time with people who made $5,000 on a house, guess what I made? When I spent time with people who made $100,000 on a house, guess what I made? When I spent time with billionaires and world changers, guess what I'm becoming? It's really, if you don't even have the access to them yet because you're just in whatever situation you're in, there is zero excuse because you can still listen to their podcast. You can still read their book. You can still understand how they process information. And it's probably even more organized if you do it that way. So I encourage you to be very, very, very picky about your inner circle and very picky about what you're putting in your body and your mind.
Ooh, good. I love it. And I love how you just mentioned like if you don't have access to them, you really do. You know what I mean? Having
Yeah.
access to someone isn't just, hey, I've got to go to their house and have dinner. Or, I've got to be in the business meetings with them. There's an entry level way to make a connection with all of these
Mhm.
powerful influencers and people around the world, and that's kind of how you start. I mean, everyone has a doorway to get in. It's just when you get in the house, where are you going to sit? You're going to sit at the table? You're going to stay in the living room? What are you going to do when you get there? It's make that impact and implementing and using what you're learning, and then you get that invitation. I think it just happens when the more you keep doing the things that you set out to do and having, like you said earlier, purpose, living with purpose and having actions with purpose and knowing what opportunity really is when it presents itself to you.
Absolutely. And using your values and your vision as your filter for what you do every day. I don't meet very many people that can actually say legitimately they're happy and whole in multiple areas of their life, if not their whole life. And it takes a lot of practice, a lot of discipline to be able to say yes and no. But what are you really doing anyway? We've got one chance, guys. Let's freaking go for it. Let's get clear and then we'll go for it. It's not that hard. Stop watching TV.
Right. Uh, well, Brittany, this has been great for you to spend some time with me after so long, and just being a friend and me being a part of the story. Somehow, it makes it all worthwhile and gives me energy to keep going and working with other people and doing that because I can see the successes that happen from just being out there and helping people and asking questions and offering help because you know what, who knows, I may meet that next waitress or waiter at the restaurant and be able to
Yeah.
impact them somehow in life, which that really.
Well, I guarantee you there are thousands of little Britneys out there that you will never know about. There really are, and there's so many people that have been impacted by you taking that. I call it the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. So a mentor is somebody who coaches you, teaches you, but a sponsor is somebody who mentors you, coaches you, but also puts their neck on the line for you. And that's what you did for me. And you took me into the room with those speakers. You introduced me. You don't know this person and you put your neck on the line for me. And for that, like there is so much impact that has happened in the world just from what I've been able to help with, my companies have been able to do, and then the impact that the people I've coached, but really I know that I wouldn't be here without you. So there's so many more people out there than just me, and they may not have your Instagram or your phone number or whatever to let you know, but keep it up. And I want to challenge all of you, be a Chad McCall, and go out there and sponsor somebody that may or may not deserve it. And do not be discouraged if they don't turn out the way that you imagined. True giving is giving without having to see your desired result, because you never know the seed that you planted. You don't know how it's supposed to come out. And feed the hungry, feed the people who want the opportunity and are coming to you, not trying to drag your family who don't believe with you. Just let it go. They'll come later when you're rich. They always do. It's
Isn't that
fine.
true?
Just
Oh my gosh, it's
it's
so
so
true,
annoying.
they always
There's
come.
a 3-year delay, guys. There's a 3-year delay. Just do your thing.
Well, Brittany, how can people, all of my listeners, how can they stay connected to you, follow you, watch you on your adventures? I mean, there's so many more things that you're doing. We didn't even get into so many other things that I wanted to talk to you about, but I'm going to have you back and we'll talk about some other cool, amazing stuff you're doing. But I want them to follow you, stay connected to you. What's the best way that they can do that?
My Instagram is at Britnie Turner. My YouTube is the same. We release a lot of educational content through there. And the mastermind, which is bomb, is at GeForce Mastermind. for both the Instagram and the website as well. We are releasing so many awesome things. We've got a podcast called G-Force Podcast and Broke to Woke. People are just having a lot of fun listening to that. But I'd love to encourage you any way you can. I do want to just hit home. You can be extremely successful in business and a force for good. And all money does anyway is magnify your heart. It doesn't change you. It just is who you are when you don't have to suck up to anybody else. So let's get your crap in order. Let's get focused on what matters and let you go out there and live your purpose. Like the world needs you to. They need you to. You have a purpose because the world needed you to get that done. That's your calling. And I just want to help encourage and empower people to have the clarity to go after it and the tools.
Well, Britnie, you're doing it. You're living it. You're a testimony for passion and always leveling up. So before I let you go, Britnie, I got to ask you my top 3 questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Number 1, what is your favorite movie?
Muppets from Space. I love that movie. I love that movie. It's so funny. It's so cute. It's so innocent. It's been my favorite movie forever.
Muppets from Space. Okay. All right. I can guarantee you I will never hear that, and especially from any other 9-figure business owners. No, I would never hear Muppets from Space. So,
You know what? Life is stressful. You got to watch sweet, innocent things sometimes. I love that movie.
okay. Next one. If you were to look at your playlist on your phone, what's the next song that's going to be playing?
I love, oh gosh, the next song. I'm going to actually look it up. It is Shining by Rihanna.
All right. Last
Shining,
one.
shining.
What is your pet's name?
Storm. She is a BVI rescue. I have now rescued 77 puppies after the hurricanes hit and brought them back to the US to have loving homes. They were abandoned in boxes and I kept one. So her name is Storm.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, Britnie, thank you for answering my top 3 questions. And I admire you. You're becoming a student becoming a teacher, which that's even, more valuable and more rewarding than anything else that I could say that I've done for some people when they're doing what you're doing now. And so I just want to say I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thanks for sharing today. And I can't wait to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, friends, you are always on call.